What rich person foods actually aren't very good? Edible gold leaf is inert, indigestible, and has no taste or smell. It has no nutritional value and can't improve any dish. It isn't even that expensive. It is added to a lot of expensive dishes, often making a fairly normal dish more expensive, under the guise of adding to its presentation. It is also done as a gimmick, such as wrapping a steak in gold leaf and charging hundreds for it, to sucker trashy faux rich people in. You literally shit gold though, which is cool. Shark's fin. It tastes like nothing. No flavor at all. Even the texture is just meh. The real flavor of shark's fin soup comes from scallops and abalone, those are actually very good. But shark's fin is just trash. At about $7/box now, I'll cast a vote for Lucky Charms. Baby camel hump. It's fucking greasy and awful. And sad. Every time these threads come up I'm reminded that your average Redditor eats like a 12-year-old boy from Minnesota. Brownies purchased at Sprouts. Shark fin soup. It's just a symbol of wealth, tastes slimy and gross. Worst part of it is the amount of sharks that are being killed for it and is pushing many species to extinction. Fuck every restaurant that serves Caesar, Edit, or any salad as a giant uncut wedge of lettuce with the fixings sprinkled on top. The nicer the restaurant, the less prepared it is. There is a restaurant by my apartment that sells a $2,000 pizza. The ingredients sound absolutely disgusting and wholly unappetizing. Some of the ingredients included octopus ink, caviar, and gold leaf. I've heard from some people who have reviewed it that it wasn't very good. Some of you just don't like seafood. Jamie Oliver's stir-fried rice. Shark fin soup is, IIRC, basically bland, tasteless, and pointless aside from being a status symbol. I always see these surveys in my feed, and caviar is always on these lists. What kind of caviar are y'all eating? Caviar is fucking awesome. Not sure if this counts, but the one Michelin star restaurant I went to charged us an additional €10 each for a green tea. Not some fancy green tea, they put a literal green tea bag in boiling water in a mug where the handle didn't even have a hole in it, so you were grasping to this flat semicircle attached to the side. It's not even how you prep green tea, and the bag itself had instructions on how to do so. Admittedly the food was good, but given that experience it makes me wonder just how overpriced the rest of the meal must have been. I grew up poor. Now I'm not, totally down to marriage. Prior to money I would have told to you that rich people probably eat bland nasty food they pretend is good. I would have been wrong. On the contrary, I've noticed on average that the more expensive the meal the better it has tasted. This thread is full of people just stating foods they personally don't like. It has nothing to do with being rich people food if you are grossed out by caviar or didn't like a single sip of champagne you took at a party. Some actual answers. Heavily dry-aged beef, pretty funky and cheesy and not for everyone. Also the industry is full of butchers and producers lying about how long they aged something lately, so it's become a real gimmick. Wagyu can be delicious, but it's often more like steak butter than steak. If you're in the mood for a nice cut of steak, wagyu can often be way too fatty and so rich you can barely eat much of it. In the right setting it can be delicious, but only in small doses. Truffles, for one of the world's most expensive foods pound for pound, they sure are boring. I enjoy truffles, but the cost is insane and it has to be used sparingly. Also the places that serve sliced truffles over dishes often make them too thick, and a big bite of truffle is actually pretty gross. It's a loaded question. For example, caviar is great if it's handled properly, which often adds to the cost. I have purchased caviar from Bevmo and it was fishy bullshit. Things which only present visual pluses are usually the ones which aren't very good. After reading these comments I have concluded that most Redditors just don't really like seafood. Every time a question like this comes up, I think about this cheap place that makes the best ribs in the world. Or used to. It was more than 5 years ago. The place ruined ribs for me because nowhere near me there is anything close to them, near as in my country. Tried dozens of places. I think about those ribs on average at least once a month, and even sometimes check plane and hotel prices to maybe go back just for the ribs, but it's too much money. Slightly frowning face. Shark fin. I hate those chem concept restaurants where they turn like cheese into a foam. Or like a piece of bread into a sauce. It's never satisfying and you leave hungry. Mummies. They taste horrible. https://y-did-people-eating-egyptian-history-Europe-West-Europe-Wild-Mummies-the-hyphen-eating-hyphen-mummies-wild-mummies-wild-mummies-wild-mummies-wild-mummies-wild-mummies-wild-mummies-wild-mummies-wild-mummies-wild-mummies-wild-mummies-wild-mummies-wild-mummies-wild-mummies-wild-mummies-wild-mummies-wild-mummies-wild-mummies-wild-mummies-wild-mummies-wild-mummies-wild-mummies-wild-mummies-wild-mummies-wild-mummies-wild-mummies-wild-mummies-wild-mummies-wild-mummies-wild-mummies-wild-mummies-wild-mummies-wild-mummies-wild-mummies-wild-mummies-wild-mummies-wild-mummies-wild-mummies-wild-mummies-wild-mummies-wild-mummies-wild-mummies-wild-mummies-wild-mummies-wild-mummies-wild-mummies-wild-m en.wikipedia.org/wiki/mummy_brown. Abalone. I'm ethnic Chinese and I don't like it. The Chinese will go on and on about it and pay top dollar for it. All I know is that the damned things looks like the old-timey Chinese gold and silver ingots that caused them to be over-harvested to the point of near extinction. King crab legs lobster. Bites of lobster just taste like overpriced shrimp. I don't really understand paying $200 for caviar on toast. It tastes fine. It's not anything spectacular. Kopi Luwak/civet coffee. Fugu. So good your mouth tingles. No, that's just what the poison tastes like. Less one food and more good food getting fucked up with nonsense to justify pricing IMO. Mac and cheese being the biggest victim, followed by burgers. Nobody should or wants to pay $12 to $15 for pasta and cheese sauce, but steakhouses and upscale restaurants are in an arms race to dump random crap on top of it to justify the outrageous prices. I was given sea urchin by the chef for free at a sushi bar I frequent. I knew very well the cost from the menu and I have never been one to insult someone by turning down such a gesture. It was the most disgusting thing I have ever put in my mouth, but I swallowed it down and smiled and thanked him. I may have even bowed since he is native Japanese and rarely speaks. I'm just glad I made this discovery without having to foot the bill. I am as big on texture with food as I am with flavor, and this could have easily been the worst in both departments. Truffle oil just because it's expensive doesn't mean it tastes good. Pokemane's cookies. Caviar. I've tried it multiple times and couldn't even pretend I liked it. I tried some really high-end caviar once and just simply didn't find it appealing. I'm not even saying it's bad, but caviar is ridiculously overpriced for what it is. It's literally just a salty cracker spread. My advice is to try it if somebody else is buying. Lobster. Crab tastes too much better. That coffee where the cats eat it and shit it out. Super fancy wine. I've had a 1970s Dom Perignon and it was fine, very nice even, but I could not tell you how it was better than a $30 bottle of bubbly. Shark fin soup. Foie gras is a fucking abomination. For context, I work in tech at one of the companies that provides free food to their employees. Every once in a while, they'll give us steak. Most people will think, oh, we're so pampered. Steak is such a fancy and expensive dish to give us, and for free. The problem though is that the steak they serve isn't even that good. It's often overdone, and you can tell that they didn't use as much butter as you would at a restaurant. It's kind of bland as far as steaks go, and I think it might also be a lower quality cut of meat. Regardless of all that, the lines for the steak always stretch super long, far longer than others. It seems like people are drawn to it because of social conditioning rather than it actually being the best food option. Steak is expensive, so therefore it is the best, people are thinking, wrongly. So yeah, those steaks in particular are pretty overrated. And even aside from my specific circumstance, even an expertly cooked is usually just okay.